What was the incident at your high school? When I was a sophomore, it was known around campus that a specific set of lockers that was between the campus and the football field was off limits. Because over summer break, some kids blew the door off a locker with a dry ice bomb and a water bottle. 2 years into my relationship with my now husband, he starts telling a very familiar story. And I realized that he was the fabled dry ice bomber that my school had been talking about for the past 7 years. But did it tell you why he did it? Small town, hanging out with big bro and friends, summer break with nothing to do, no good reason, just kids being kids. I was at my grad ceremony, and this one guy, while walking the stage, pulled his pants down and mooned everyone. Not exactly sure what happened to him, but I heard he got suspended and his diploma was taken away from him. Someone did this the year before me. He had cut holes out in each bit cheek and then mooned when his name was called. He had painted the year on his bottom. Suffice it to say, my school was really strict when my class graduated. We had a strict dress code, and the sheriff's department patted us all down and checked all of our clothes. Somebody attempted to burn down the school, but only half succeeded. They had to demolish the old part of the school where the fire started and rebuild an entire new wing. Bright side, we got the first 25-meter pool in the county. Well, yeah, you heard it here first. Burn down your school, get a new pool. Rhymes, too. One of our football players was struck by lightning during practice and died. What was the coach doing, letting him practice during a lightning storm? Some high school football coaches treat missing practice like it's the end of the world. They won't cancel unless it's absolutely mandatory. Looks like a thunderstorm isn't a reason to cancel, evidently. There's a chance that a student being struck could have just been the first strike for that storm. If it hit anywhere else, only then would they have had to go inside. Middle school students found a nude pic of a teacher in a biker magazine. Copies went everywhere. She disappeared. Still feel bad for her. Teacher, female, got fired and went to court for sending a nude to a student, male. The thing was, though, it was the student who took her phone, found her nude in her gallery, and then sent it to himself. His mom found out about it somehow. Some kid shit his pants and threw up while we were doing a couple miles run. Worst part is that the closest person to him when it happened was his crush. That's a wild way to tell your children how you met their mother. When I was a sophomore, a girl asked a guy to prom by getting on stage and wearing a paintball vest with red paper rolled into tubes stuffed in it, to make it look like he had bombs strapped to his chest. He held a sign that said, "I'm kinda the bomb. Will you be my date to prom?" She said yes, but he was suspended and not allowed to go to prom. And she went with someone else. It made news, which was just amazing since it was such a small town. He claimed the school was racist and that if he were white, it wouldn't have gotten in trouble for it. For Spirit Week, we had Dress Like a Historical Figure Day. One of my buddies is Iranian/Saudi, and he had the bright idea to dress as Bin Laden. This was in June of 2011, less than a month after they had killed him. He got his picture taken by the history teacher and was sent home to change. The next day was Throwback Thursday, and he dressed up as a giant dick. Dude was dedicated to his costumes, but he died in a car crash a couple years ago. Rest in peace, Ahmed. In elementary school, 3 sibling boys died with their dad in a plane crash, and their mom opened a children's center in their name, with a game room, a music studio, and a ceramic studio in their names. Jack, Will, and Rob Center. It's sad, but it's wholesome. A few kids broke into the high school to steal test scores for the SAT, just like in a stoner movie. They got caught and expelled, and one was my friend's brother. A popular sophomore girl drowned during a party in her own hot tub, huffing dust off because it replaced the oxygen in her body. I guess that pushed her under the surface, and her parents found her when they came home next morning. Rest in peace, Daniil. Person broke into the school with a shotgun. No students were in the classroom at the time because it was lunch. Of all people, our old, nerdy social studies teacher wrestled the gun away and subdued the perp. We were all stunned. This man wore a suit and tie every day. This was back in the mid-90s at a poor black school, and the teacher was an old white man. We gave him so much respect after that. It was all over the news. I may remember some other events because we had a bunch, but this one came to mind. I've moved away, and I have kids in high school, but I Googled him, and he's still teaching at a school in a neighboring county. His current school, as his bio, and it says that he's been teaching for over 30 years, and prior to that, he was in the Army. Go figure. Salute to this man. Freshman year, a girl who had been at Columbine had just transferred. It had only been a year since the shooting, and she had major PTSD. The principal walked up behind her with a cap gun and fired it 5 inches from her head. He then started to laugh, and she started to panic. The police were involved, and her parents were furious, and he only got a 1-month paid suspension. My government teacher in '99 said every year he would take the classroom hostage with a fake gun and then reveal it at the end just to see how people would react. He said the school made him stop, but he wished he could still do it to us. During class, my teacher and fellow student got into an argument over being tardy. The student got up, walked over our teacher, and punched him in the face. The teacher was absent for more than 8 weeks because of his mental health, caused by the incident. Student was kicked out of school, obviously. Never found out if he pressed any charges, though. This girl got accused of having a fake chest, so she pulled him out. A girl gave a BJ to 2 other classmates while we were in another class, and they filmed her and kept blackmailing her with them to get money out of her. But because one of the guys was a show-off, the videos eventually got leaked and all 3 of them were expelled. When I was in 9th grade, for some reason, the morning announcements would include student deaths when they happened. Every month for the entire school year, at least one Aboriginal student committed suicide. They eventually stopped announcing student deaths. On the bus, on the way home from a band event, a guy peed in the Gatorade bottle. When we got back, he punted said bottle, and it hit the ceiling, popped open, and showered his piss over a number of people. Several of us were called into a room near the cafeteria to fill out a questionnaire, which literally referred to the piss kicking as the incident. We had several, but my favorite is when a theater kid named Roger started selling homemade sandwiches at school. They were delicious and cheap, and they put the cafeteria food to absolute shame. His business was booming, and it made cafeteria ladies super angry. They took issue to administration, and Roger was banned from selling his sandwiches. Roger was determined to right this wrong, and did it in the only way that a theater kid knows how, by writing a one-act play with the cafeteria ladies as the antagonists, and an underdog hero battling against them. The play was better than his sandwiches, and it was a smash hit at the school. He ended up taking it to the area, and I believe that he even made it to the state one-act play contest with it. He also continued to sell his sandwiches, but he simply changed to an ordering system. You ordered the sandwich the day before, and you picked it up just off campus boundaries in the morning. Technically not a school issue anymore that way. Nowadays, he lives in LA and he works as a production assistant. I'd like to think that the lunch ladies fueled his career by giving him the ammo for his early success. You know, that actually sounds like a great movie. I'd watch that. Apparently, there was some gang beef between my high school and another high school. Someone found our high school slept with someone's girlfriend from the opposing gang. And when the opposing gang heard about this, they threatened to do a drive-by shooting on our school. Our administration heard about this quickly, so all the classes were held in temporary buildings outside. They actually had to be held inside the school now. No one was allowed to leave the building. Nothing ever happened, though. Yeah, back in my day, they would have just had to race for pink slips instead. The biggest incident that I was aware of at my school was when some guy was caught doing it alone in the bathroom and someone filmed it. It's been a while, but I think the guy filming either got suspended or expelled. And as for the guy who got caught, he still stuck around even though the whole school knew about what he did. My friend had a class with him, and from what the guy said, he seemed nice. Still gotta wonder why he felt the urge to do that in the school bathroom, and why the other guy filmed it. Hey, you know, teenagers and hormones, they're a weird thing. At least he did it in the bathroom from what he thought was away from people. The dude that filmed him is creepy, though. Someone drew a 25-foot dick and balls on 2 of the bathroom walls, jizzing across the remaining 2 walls. It was found first thing on a Monday morning, and it was extremely detailed. Someone spent hours on this, meaning they snuck into the school over the weekend for their art project. Our entire class of over 600 kids was kicked out of a pep rally for having too much pep. This was about a year or 2 after I graduated, but the cool teacher busted for having a relationship with 2 of his 16-year-old students. At least one of the girls was a player on the school softball team, which he coached. He was married with 2 small children at home, and his wife gave him the boot after that, as did the State Board of Education. I don't remember if he served any time in jail, but he did have to register as a sex offender, and he will never be allowed to teach again.